There are no biscuits today. I'm on a diet. I'm not allowed biscuits anymore. But I'm having a beer. I'm having a beer because I feel rough. I sound rough. I feel rough. And I've just today had my third anti-human malware injection. So tomorrow I'm probably going to be even rougher. But anyway, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, how are you? Sorry if I sound a bit different to usual. Because I have something else. It's not COVID, but I have something. I'm going to be coughing a little bit here and there because anything I've had ever since having the human malware brings back the cough that I had with the human malware. So I am at times coughing my lungs up. It's your birthday. Well, first thing we're going to have to do is sing happy birthday to Failsafe. Now, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to let you guys do it. But Failsafe, happy birthday, my friend. Failsafe is a massive supporter of the channel, massive, brilliant guy. So happy birthday. No cookies, no chocolate. Although I do have a secret stash, right? This tells you why I need to go on a diet. Because within arm's reach this side, there's a pack of chocolate biscuits. And within arm's reach that side, there's a pack of chocolate biscuits. So that's why you can see I need to go on a diet. Because, yes. Now, I'm having a beer because I feel like crap. You know what's good while working? Yeah, exactly. It's so while I feel like crap, I'm having a beer. And tonight, we're having a bottle of Gower Gold. Or a bottle of Gower Gold is what we're having. Why have I gone pirate? I've gone pirate. Oh, me hearties. We're having a bottle of pirate gold. Gold, you see. Not sure how we ended up at pirate there. Yes. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I hope you are all safe and well. It is time for another live stream, and I'll be honest, it's been a weird week for me. I've been traveling a huge amount this week. I haven't done a lot with drones until sort of Thursday, Friday, where I've been getting my review of this finished. And a massive thank you to Dave at South Wales Drones, because I stole it from him for another week. Because I've just not been able to fly because of the weather. But it's going back to him this week. But I'm getting that finished. And then it's going to be time to get on top of some other content that I want to make on the channel as well. Now, tonight, we've got to talk about the current situation with getting parts, because it's getting worse. It's not getting better. I'm trying to find motors for my 7-inch, and I still haven't been able to find them. So I'm going to end up having to go for probably T-motors, which we'll talk a bit about. We're going to talk a bit about some RF power tests that I've seen banded around the place. And I just really want to put a bit of a warning out about that. Really, more than anything, that don't take everything you see as fact. Not my results, not anyone's results, because a lot of the equipment out there, I'm not saying is bad, but it isn't fully reflecting what the situation is right now. And funny enough, literally, I was just messaging someone, I don't say who it is just because he doesn't want to say it, about this, and he's a great guy, and we're going to talk a bit about that, which is the one what VRX. Mine will be here. Sorry, VTX, not VRX. Mine will be here this week. It is en route. It shouldn't be too long. It shouldn't be too long. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some VRXs appeared in stock places as well this week for HDZero. And really, guys, I'll answer any questions you guys have got along the way as well. Now, most important is to catch up on you guys, which is the chat. So Mike Bergman was first. Good morning, my friend. I hope you're well. Or good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. Let me just check my doors closed. Yeah, it is. It made a funny noise. My door on my workshop has a habit of opening itself now. Nobody but somebody. Good evening. How are you? What motors? We will talk about them in a minute, Mark. KPV, how are you? Chair shot. It's always about the chair shot. Affiliate link in the description. I was on time today. Jekyll, how are you, my friend? You ordered a stock. Good evening, Nexu. Peppermint, hello. You got your VTX Friday, you git. I didn't get mine. Do you order yours from the States or the UK, Peppermint? Oh, it's only stuck, so we're going to be here at least another month. Yeah, things are not good right now. Things are really, really not good. It's not going to be good for some time, but we will get there. We will get there. Now, as always, if you guys have any questions, US. So yeah, the US had supply a bit quicker. Unmanned aerial techs came in, I think, on Thursday or Friday, and they shipped them Friday. But because I ordered an ESC as well, that means the order went in out of the Royal Mail category and into DHL category, which costs me more money. And I'll be honest, DHL are useless to where I live. Every time it's DHL, it's an extra day. There seems to be into South Wales an extra day on all DHL parcels because their main hub is in Bristol. For those who know, Bristol over there are Bristol. And then there's a sub-hub in Newport in Wales. And it seems to take a day to cross the bridge. So, every time I have something from DHL, do you get that, Peppermint, as well? Do you ever find that if you ever get DHL as an extra day? Unless they run the van for where you are. Unlike some live streamers. Thank you, mate. So, but yes, mine is en route. It's on its way over. Hopefully, it'll be here in the next week or so. Well, it says Tuesday. I'm hoping it comes tomorrow. It usually will because they'd have moved stuff over the weekend, so it should arrive Tuesday. Yeah, the one what's coming. I am not, don't expect a video in this in the next 3 weeks. There is a lot for me to do on this VTX. I'm not running out and making a video on it. This is a big step forward for the system, and it warrants making sure I fully understand it first. You're going to see a lot of videos, and in fact, let's jump to the desktop and let's just find YouTube. HDZero 1 watt. There should be a bunch of videos up here. Let's have a look. This week, I would have expected a bunch of videos to have already gone up on this, but there hasn't been that many. Less than I thought. I think a lot of guys are still integrating into their system. It's not the simplest thing. HDZero freestyle. Let's search for HDZero free. Okay, so yeah, I saw this one the other day. First flight. There hasn't been as many as I thought up and around. So we're going to have to see. Oh, Joe Mama has put one up. Is that the 1 watt? He doesn't say. It's going to be interesting to see. So there's a lot to understand with this. There's no magical fix here. You got to. Something I do want to say on this with the 1 watt, especially, is right. Some people are sort of going, oh, this is going to fix every problem. Okay. Fundamentally, the HDZero system is the same. There's no packet retransmits here. There's no ability to send the packet again. 5.8 gigs has a limit of what it will go through. It don't matter how much power you're pushing, there is a limit of what it will go through. So there is not going to be a magical, oh my God, it goes through everything result. Because the inherent nature of 5.8 gigs means it's not going to go through that. Solid concrete and steel that's 2 foot thick, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So people do need to calm their expectations. The big difference here will be how it behaves in urban environments around stuff that we've not been able to push the HD signal through before that we can now. And that's the real interesting key to this. So we do need to be careful that people aren't just going to fly around the back of a solid concrete building and go, oh, the signal goes, it doesn't work. It won't work. It's a reality. That data that is lost is lost. That data will never come back on HDZero. You know, for instance, so if you're flying down and you pass, say you are at 90 degrees to it, and you pass something solid concrete for an absolute second, whereas DJI may not lose the signal because it does lose the signal, it just sends it again. So what would happen is latency would jump dramatically. HDZero will drop. And then come back. So there are always going to be limits. You know, people do need to be aware of there are limits to any system. But I think we're going to see a massive, massive improvement from where it's been before. But the inherent nature of the system isn't going to change. You know, it is fundamentally what it is, you know. So there, you know, you can have a situation which is quite interesting where you can have someone flying straight. Okay, so you could be at 90 degrees with a building, which is, say, this building here. Let me just do that. So I can be here, and I can fly here along this way here. Now, when I get behind the glass, and actually, if I do that, you guys can see better. I'm going to be here. When I get behind the glass, I'm going to lose signal here. And then I come out the other side and signal goes back. Now, on DJI, that portion here, the signal is blocked. But when I get to here, it's going to try and resend it again. So if I'm only behind here for a couple of frames, it's going to try and resend that and pick it up. That latency at that point is going to jump dramatically, substantially. But if you're not doing any maneuvers, you may not feel that latency jump. Whereas on HDZero, it gets behind the glass here. It is going to drop if that is, say, 10 foot of concrete. It is inevitable, but it will come back as soon as you get through the other side. So there are situations where DJI can be perceived that it copes better. It's not that it copes better, it's able to send the signal again. Whereas HDZero can't do that. But with HDZero's new one, what will help is in situations where the signal couldn't get through before, whereas now it will. Or it couldn't get through at a level that was acceptable before, but now it will. Oh, hello, Anthony. How are you? You've put the parking on. I did see. I haven't watched it. We'll put it up. We'll put it up in a minute. We'll have a look. So, you know, the fundamentals of the system are the same. The VTX should make a big difference. Okay, it's the integration of it. It's not the easiest thing to integrate, but then again, neither was the DJI ones. You know, there's nothing specific to HDZero in that. Big, high-power VTXs are big, heavy, and a pain in the ass to put in a frame. It's that simple. More power, more penetration. It is to a point. But there is a point where it doesn't matter how much power, you're not going to get it through something. There is some objects that 5.8, the wavelength just won't go through. You know, that's just physics, you know, and that stands for all systems. But it'll be interesting to see, actually, Anthony. Let's have a look. Which one? Where is it, Anthony? Let's find it. Let me just find it. I've just seen poor Ryan's video where he pulled the pigtail out. Not video. His thing. Let me see. Let's put this up. Hey. So we have people integrating. What you're seeing is a lot of people doing integration. Look at this. Poor Ryan had lost his antenna. He'd lost his antenna. It's a waste. That's a pig as well. It's easy to miss that kind of phone. Parking garage round 2. Curious. Let's have a look. See, more people doing integration. I do wish these were not on that side. You know, that is a complaint I'll have because I like to whinge about something. Ah, is this it? Yeah. Is this the one, Anthony? Let's... Okay, I'm going to kill your music. Let's have a look. It's looking good, isn't it? Do we see where he is? I didn't see. Let's start the way. Do we know where Tony is? Just so I've got context, that's all. Oh, there he is. So he's in the back corner. There he is. So he's gone out the building. So he's here, just so I know where he is for my recollection. So he's coming. So he's the okay. I've got context now. Now, that's a big, solid pillar he's gone behind there. That didn't drop. That's very good. So if I'm right, he's up in this back corner here. Because that was the... Is he up in that back corner? No. No, I've lost track of where he is now. Is he through there? Oh, no, he's coming through. Look at that. That's pretty good, isn't it? That is very, very good. I've lost track of where he is. That's the... Wait there. I'm gonna have to work it out. Right, wait there. Because... So... He's behind it at the moment, if I'm right. So if we go to here, he comes back through where he's up in this corner. I'm trying to get a gauge of where he was. So he's there. He's there. There he is. Okay, so he's now gone straight down away from him. Okay? He's then going around this concrete pillar. See, look at this, right? This is going to be a solid concrete structure and steel structure in the middle of the building. Right, at that point there, that's between him and... the drone. That is impressive. That's really good. So he's coming round back here now. Now, I think, if I'm right, he's up this way now somewhere. Is he? I thought... Oh, no, he's come down a level. Right. Is you below himself now? I think he must be below himself, almost. That image is good. You know, there's no issues there. Now, interesting, he's going back and it starts getting really worse then. You can see now it's getting really bad. Because he wasn't that far from where he was. And then he's coming back up. Right, what I missed the first time I watched this is he'd gone down, he was going down the levels, you see. So is he on the same level now, or is he still down? Ah, no, there he is. He's back. He's back. So he's going back around. I tell you something, on the same level, that is highly impressive. Look at that. See, look at it, right? He's behind metal bins at that point. See, that's all the kind of stuff that really should give problems. This is decent. This is very, very... Any police in this video? Yeah, we don't do that in the UK. Starting to feel it there, like, isn't it? Still absolutely flyable. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's 100% flyable. So if I lost track again, is he on another level again? Where is he? So he's going back outside. Yeah, so he's on the is he... I'm trying to figure out where he is. Right, so he's in that corner. There he is, yeah. So that was the upper level. So he's going round here. Yeah, so that comes back down. This is below him now. Patch is pointing up. Oh, through the railings as well. He's a hero. That's decent. That's you know, look, guys. At this point, if I'm right, he's like there. I could be wrong, but if I'm right, he's like... He was there, or the bottom corner. We'll see now. He wasn't far from here, was he? See the police car up to... He is a hero for flying in places I never would. Yeah, that's decent. That's really decent. So now, boom, that brick wall is between him. He's completely gone around. Yeah, that's made a big difference. That is dramatically better. That's good. I'm impressed. It's looking good. You know, that's a horrible environment. That is just a horrible environment. I do wonder as well, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I'll talk about this a little bit in a minute, but I have been thinking about how much improvement there may be yet to be had on receiver technology with HDZero and digital systems. On a roll in the garage. Let's have a look where he is. I saw him then. Can we see his patches? Yeah. Oh, slide through the bars. I'm impressed. I really am. Oh, he bumped it. I could say nothing. But looking good. And the thing is, take into account, right? You won't be getting much airflow there. There we go. Looking good. There's the man. Looking good. His patches are slightly pointed up. He's got the extra patches on. I can see that. But looking good. Looking really, really good. That's very good. That is very, very good indeed. That is a real hope for the future on this. You know, look, realistically, if everyone starts getting behavior like that, what more do people want? You know, that is very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Now, he wouldn't have been getting much cooling in there either because he wasn't exactly pushing it around. So the cooling wouldn't have been the best. You know, the VTX, you could easily overheat a VTX in that condition. You easily could. You know, there's not a dramatic amount of airflow there. There'll be a bit, but he wasn't exactly pushing it. So there's always room for improvement and stuff. Careful now, Jason. You may end up buying one. So that's looking good. That's looking really good. So we should see more and more videos go on over the next couple of weeks and months. My one will take a bit of time. I'm not rushing it. You have to be fully fit. Look, my opinion on it won't really be that warranted, wanted, or make any real difference. You know, I think it's inevitable that you will have JB will do a proper review on this, and many of the others, as will I give my opinion, but I'm probably going to try and move my opinion to the side a little bit from the more technical standpoint, because that's what I do. Good evening, Mike. How are you? But that's looking really promising. That is looking really, really promising. In the UK, people talk about the price over here. You know, it isn't. It is out of stock in the UK at the moment. So if I hop on to Hobby RC, it is still available to order in the US as well if anyone wants one. I think Race Day still had them in stock. But if we go on, they are 89 quid. It's still cheap. It's about the same price as a Vista. Singly. Oh, the Runcam unit Lite is cheaper. The Vista's more. It's interesting. They're charging more for the Vista Runcam, underpricing Cadex. That's quite funny for the same product. I like that. But you can get the camera kit, Link Phoenix HD kit for like 112 quid. It's interesting, isn't it? Very interesting indeed. That Runcam are undercutting Cadex. But it's at the moment it's out of stock. But did Race Day still have stock? Let me just check. I think the real interesting, you got a lot of people moving over to HDZero because at least we are seeing some development. I think part of the frustration with DJI at the moment is you're not seeing anything. And that doesn't mean, see, it's still in stock at Race Day Quads. right now. So if you want to get yourself one, you can get one ordered over from the US if you are looking for them. But we're going to have to see. It's going to take some time. You're going to see a lot more people. I've noticed on the group today, it's just been post upon post of people posting. So a lot of them, look, here we go. Some internal pics as well. I would like to know what amplifiers they are using. I can't quite see. If anyone has a lot closer up markings on the amplifiers, I would like to see. Digital is going to be expensive. This is the problem. Look, you're not... Just look at the amount of supporting circuitries needed for digital. You know, take into account DJI is somewhat manipulating their pricing from their size. So, for instance, their silicon can be subsidized by their... the silicon could be subsidized by their camera drones. I've seen a few people, yeah, look, anyone who's saying it should support 6S doesn't understand the setup properly. I'll be blunt up front. You do not want to run this VTX, or, in my opinion, any of the VTXs off battery voltage. You are asking to burn one out. I actually think it's a bit of a clever move because it forces people to have to use a BEC on 6S setups. In many ways, I wish they'd have made it 5 or 10 volts max and forced people to use a BEC all of the time. These VTXs are extremely sensitive. They will burn out if you do have a power spike, and that stands for DJI and a HDZero. I really do not recommend running any HD VTX off battery voltage. I have burned a number of them myself. It is not worth the risk. You can do it if you're going to put a FETX spike absorber on and a big capacitor, but you are much safer running it off a BEC. Much, much safer running it off a BEC. It will be interesting to see if we might see a smaller output one, because that double 500mm is basically ended. Maybe a 500-600mm one has been said there. But, you know, there's a lot of support circuitry on a product like this. Yeah, I don't recommend any of them. I would personally recommend always having them on a BEC for safety. Just for the safety purposes, for the spikes, for the transients. If you set them up properly, it's fine. You know, spike absorber. I've been doing a lot of testing on the oscilloscope, actually. Looking at startup current and spike absorbers and how much spikes are being on a quad when you power it up. And it is astonishing. Just to give you an idea, okay, on the DJI FPV goggles, on power up, they will draw over 30 amp for about 4 milliseconds on power up because of voltage. You know, you've got the inrush current, and it's known as inrush current, and they will pull over 30 amp. So, input inrush spikes, there's a lot that can go wrong there. So I personally will always be recommending a BEC involved in a digital VTX, especially. Good evening, Joe. How are you? Hope you're well, my friend. What is OpenHD? Okay, so as this leads us nicely into this subject. Okay, OpenHD is an open source project to produce a HD FPV system based on off-the-shelf hardware. To a point on the off-the-shelf hardware. It is predominantly open source software, but there has been some moves towards potential semi-proprietary hardware, which could really drive it forward. So it would be open source software on sort of semi-proprietary hardware is what's being hinted at. It's getting better. As I said, I think they're heading towards 40 to 60 milliseconds is becoming within reach now. We're seeing a lot of improvements on it. it could be very, very interesting. But it also isn't ideal today. For instance, it doesn't support MSP DisplaySport or canvas modes as such because the OSD is drawn at ground station side. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. But it is interesting. It is very, very interesting. Yeah, I haven't watched his video yet. I'm going to watch it this week. Funny enough, I was on with the Droning Out guys. For those who didn't see, I was late, and I apologize up front. But let me just do this. I was very, very kindly invited onto the Droning Out channel on Tuesday. So if you guys don't know it, it is here. I almost didn't make it because they forgot to send me a link, and I was ill, and I forgot about the show. Completely unprofessional. I know. Bad, bad, bad on me. But we had a good hour out of it. But the Less Droning Out show is here, and I was very kindly invited on with Curry and the guys. I spoke way too much as always, but it was an absolute pleasure to be there. If you're interested in checking it out, please do go on there. I talk a lot about my past involved with stuff with DJI and stuff like that. Not now. You're not allowed to go now. After this live stream. But yeah, and please give them their support. Give them a subscribe. Give it a like. They're a fantastic bunch of guys. They really, really are. They'll copyright me, strike me now for that. You watch. Eat Your Veg FPV. Been out testing the freestyle around the UK band today. Very happy. Video in a couple of days or two. Very cool. Very cool. I think most of us, I think people in the know it's adding a good cap is thing, but cap alone won't protect you. A capacitor will help, but it won't protect 100%. We'll come on to the motors in a moment now. You know, the thing to understand with a capacitor is how it works. So a capacitor's job is to try and always maintain voltage. So, for instance, what a capacitor wants to do is keep the voltage the same. So whatever, once it's charged, okay, it is resistive to that voltage moving. So if a spike comes towards it, what a capacitor will try and do is basically absorb that spike via dumping current. Because what it's trying to do is always maintain the same voltage, and as a result of that, it will either reduce or dump more current in to do that. But there is a limit of how far it can go before it lets go, and it can't hold anymore. Let me just turn my fire off. But there is a limit. Now, I do recommend spike absorbers like the Fat Tech ones. I'm a big fan of the Fat Tech ones. I really, really am a big fan of the Fat Tech ones. Looking at them on the oscilloscope, they do a good job. They really do. My only complaint with them would be a lower voltage for 4S builds. I'd like to see a 4S and a 6S version because all of the Fat Tech spike absorbers, and if you haven't seen these, let me just grab one. There's one here somewhere open. I'm just trying to find the open one. I've got one open and I got one sealed. Got to be here somewhere. It's always the same, isn't it? Every time you're going to find something, it goes missing. Ah, there it is. Got one. Okay, so this is the Fat Tech spike absorber. So let me just put it under the overhead. Let's zoom in. So this little device has 3 TVS diodes. They're rated, I think they're rated about 35 volts. And the idea is, the way these work is they clamp. So they simply go between live and neutral. Okay, so that's all they do. Live and neutral. Live and earth. Sorry, that's me talking about mains. They go between live and earth. And the idea is, as the voltage gets above a certain level, they start to conduct. And they basically shunt that voltage down to earth. So these are the little FetTech ones. I am a massive fan of these. These are very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Now, I've just seen some questions. Guess Higgins, when he used to be issued, yeah. I'll suggest it to FetTech. What, a 4S version? Is it failsafe? Vista's always run off success. Never had one fail since they came out. Always used a cap. I think I'm running the Matech spike absorbers on my racers. Should be easier to fit than the FetTech because they mount on an XT60. I would expect them all to work very much the same. You know, if it's as long as it's a good quality TVS diode. In which case, would you recommend using a spike absorber? In which case are they just not worth it? I would run them on all digital systems. If I'm running a digital system, I'm putting a spike absorber on it. It's that simple. Now, there are some ESCs that do have spike absorbers built in. The HDZero Race V2 has one of these built in as well. But I would rather belt and braces. I bought like 10 of these when they came out. They're not expensive. They're really not expensive. So I would consider getting them. Yeah, it'd be cool. A 4S version failsafe would be very cool. Just to have a one, because the lower the cutting voltage is better for the lower battery. It'll just kick in good. They do look pretty tiny on the Matech. Yeah, these are pretty big. But look, its job is to shunt spikes. Is this over-designed? You know, this will shunt a lot of current. Will the Fly FPV, will W1 Lily Fly FPV EV300Ds are older than the new ones though, depends almost the same as 04Xs. Yes. I really like the Skyzone 04Xs, so much so I bought a set. I will be reviewing them in the near future. Yeah, I have seen the Matech powerboard. Let's have a look at that. Is it the Matech? Spike protector. Let's have a look. Matech Spike protector. Does anyone know? Or is it ESC? Yeah, it'll be cool to see. Look, they should be on all ESCs now. It should just be on the. Right, let's just have a look on Matech Sys. Let me get on their website. Does their website work? Doesn't want to. Matech's website doesn't look like it wants to work today. Matech voltage spike filter. Is that what they call it? Okay. So here we are. So they've got TVS diode on. So they've got two TVS diodes. So what do these look like? MDD. Would you say they're MDD 418? Spike TVS MDD. Is there a specification for what diode is? Maximum operating voltage is 28 volts. So MDD. I think they look like 14As. MDD TVS diode. That looks like 14A. I'm trying to just see, where are they? That looks like MDD. It looks like two different diodes, because that's MDD14A and MDD30A. It's interesting. There's two different diodes on there. Well, I'm running Jekyll. I'm running them on all my digital systems, regardless if I'm using a BEC, because I just want the protection. I just want the protection. I will probably put a TVS diode on every machine from now on. Willie FPV. I'm not particularly concerned about it. I think it's okay. When can we expect new HDZero receivers for analog goggles? Right. Some have landed this week. So some dealers have stock of HDZero receivers. I can only guess that there has been some production, because I don't know where these have appeared from, but in the UK and the US, I've seen companies post stock is available of the Fat Shark ones, and it's available if you want to buy it. Your FPV was one of them in the UK. So I think it was Your FPV. I'm sure it was them. Shark Bite. I'm sure it was Your FPV had stock. Yes, they do. So Your FPV has stock in the UK at £184. I'll be honest, to everyone now, don't expect these new receivers to be much less than that. They could even be more than this. I know there's a lot of people holding out saying, oh, I'm waiting for the cheap ones. There has been no indication that the new receivers are going to be like $99. Remember, that $99, £100 was a sale. Fat Shark said to help adoption. I'm not going to go down the road of what it was, in my opinion, in the end, but it was to help adoption. Well, and I believe that's what HDZero were told as well. But they are available if you want them, but you're not going to be paying much, much less. I'm expecting the new VRXs to come in between 150 and 250. They might be closer to the 150 to 170 mark. They're not going to be much cheaper than that. They're not going to be much cheaper than that. I'm just going to unmute a second. Good evening, Bruce. I'm not very well. Hello. Oh, have I lost my mic now? Oh, it is, eh? There we go. But I'm not expecting dramatic difference, guys. If you're trying to get one in the UK, I wouldn't personally hold out forever. I would just be ordering one of them. There will be some nice new features on the other ones, though. If you can order some of the other ones, I would. There are some nice features on the other ones, I believe. OpenHD is very good. It's looking interesting. But it's still early days. Look, it's still early days. It's a great project. I think it's got some amazing development going on. I think it's got a lot of interesting development. Curry was talking about it this week. But hardware-wise, you're still playing with this, and latency isn't there. For wing users, it's not really going to be a problem. But look, OpenHD is suffering from the same problems as the chip shortage, because the new Raspberry Pis aren't easy to get hold of either. Do you know what I mean? If we go and get started, you've got Raspberry Pi. We no longer recommend Pi 1, Pi 0, 2. Can you even get Pi 0 2s at the moment? At one point, you couldn't. They just weren't in stock anyway. Have they got them in the Pi Hut now? No. You know, this is going to be the struggle, is getting parts. That's the real big issue right now. You know, all products, what ones are in stock? Can we filter it by stock? HDZero 2. Picos. Yeah, and this is over HDZero 2. What? It's, you know, what's the Pico? What's the power on the Pico now? It's still not up to full speed. Is the Pico, what's the Pico running? I haven't checked the spec of the Pico for a while. So what's the Pico? So it's the RP, yeah, so that's up to 133 megs. Whereas the Pi 2 is, HDZero 2, which is the big one, is what? What's the spec on the Zero 2? Yeah, look, it's 1 gig clock, a massively... It's just an F1. Yeah, it's massively bigger. You know, P2 incorporates quad-core Cortex A53 at 1 gig. It's a much more powerful device, and that's the problem. He's going to be getting... I'm guessing the Zero 2 is the recommended module right now. We have pre-existing hardware requirements for its guides, still easy to follow. So it is interesting, and then you've got to find supported Wi-Fi adapters and stuff. It's getting very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. There are the renders that were shown, but you are seeing, you know, the guys are making very, very good progress. Very, very good progress indeed. But at the moment, you know, its size and everything isn't down. Pico is an Arduino style board. Yeah, I thought it was, Bruce. It isn't down to the size we need quite yet. Jetson would be very good, ridiculously powerful. If it was Jetson wise, it would be running very, very powerful. The Jetson's got a lot of guts to it. Or a Chinese one. The Chinese one's available. So, but yeah, OpenHD is moving along, and be interesting to see if they can get access to like MIPI interface as well. And then if we saw more proper camera support, that's when things will push on. You know, at the moment you're having to bolt on external cameras and stuff. I'm going to top up my beer. Okay. So, if the next subject, guys, we're going to talk about is parts, because things aren't getting better. Things are getting worse. And trying to find components right now is a nightmare. And that includes not only flight controllers, but motors and everything else as well. And even I'm finding it. My HDZero build, you know, my HDZero 1 watt was due this week, and I don't have motors. I still cannot get motors for this. Now, I've been waiting to get in the Emaxes because they're cheaper. And what I've been looking to get is the Emax Eco 2s. And what I want is the Emax Eco 2s. I think it's 2802s or 2804s. Eco 2s. Let's just have a look. And what I want is... Oh, they're not even listed on here now. Oh, it looks like they've even delisted them. So I wonder if they're no longer available. What I'm after is Emax Eco 2 2807s. I think it is. There we go. These are the ones I'm after. And you just can't get these anywhere. You just cannot get these motors anywhere at the moment. You can get some sizes of the motors, but I cannot get the ones that I want. Ah, here we go. Now, they got the 1700 kVs in stock, but not the 1300 kVs. But the 15s are in. Interesting. The 15s weren't there the other day. I want the 1300s for 6S. That's what I'm after, is the 1300s for 6S. If anyone knows anywhere that's got the 1300s in stock. Jetson Nano built and he was the... That's interesting. Space around here. Yeah, cheers, Bruce. But yeah, struggling to find the Eco 2s in that size. Now, it's looking like in the size I'm going to be getting, I'm going to be ending up with T-Motor. Now, I would filter, but this bloody 28. Let's have a look what comes up under 28 kV. Drone FPV Racer. Was that the 1300 kVs, Jekyll? That's a French company, is it? Okay, it's interesting. It is looking like I'm going to end up with T-Motors. Let's just go down to find them. The 28s. Oh, God. There's the, let me just show you these. Sorry, I thought I was showing you. 2750s. 2750s as well. I think they're the 13s as well. Yeah, I'm looking. So it's looking like I'm going to end up with the T-Motors because very little is in stock everywhere I try to find stuff. So I've been looking on Hobby RC, and what it's really looking at, if I go high to low, because it's the easiest way to find the motors, is I'm going to end up with the F40s from T-Motors because I just simply cannot find an alternative which is going to suit the need, which was the... Oh, no, it might have been the F90s, 1300 kVs. There we go. I think it's going to end up being these, which are 21 quid each, unfortunately, which is painful. Unfortunately. Where's the option to translate? There we go. English, please. Emax Eco 1300. Let's have a look. There we go. 2807s. Ah, sold out. Look. Just cannot get them anywhere. Cannot get them anywhere. So it's looking like I'm going to end up with the T-Motors, which are £21 each. Oh, you got them in Switzerland, have they? 2807s, 13s. Nice. I wonder what the postage is like in Switzerland or the UK. It's probably not worth it. That's the problem. By the time I do it, I may as well just go for the F90s. But it's getting increasingly difficult to find parts. It really is. Even ESC. So if we go into drone parts, especially flight controllers, I've been looking to find a flight controller for this build, and it's just everything is out of stock. That's any decent size. It is just crazy. You start looking through parts and it's just nothing out there at the moment. It's getting really, really hard to actually find bits. So the plan is to get the 7-inch build finished. What is a very real possibility is I'm going to actually end up shoehorning the 1 watt in the Mambo frame. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and get it in that. I'm building Chris Ross's 7-inch build. So I wanted that for the 1 watt as a long-range test as well. But what I'm probably going to end up doing is moving it into the 5-inch or the 5.5-inch, and I may throw in the case at the same time. What I can see me doing is throwing in the KISS controller at exactly the same time. That's a very real possibility. But the long-term plan for the 1 watt is to go into the 7-inch. That's what the long-term is. But again, it's just so hard to get parts right now. It is just so hard to get parts. It really, really is. And it's not getting any better out there, guys. We're going to be finding things more and more difficult. We really are, as time goes on. It's... Banggood supposedly had a diatone H743 in stock. Hit the order button, start waiting at least another month, probably 2 years. It's crazy. It's just crazy at the moment. I do need to... funny enough, for the 7-inch build, I'm going to put on iNav, because it's been a while since I've used iNav, and I'm going to be running iNav on the 7-inch build. And I do have a frustration with iNav, and I don't know if anyone here actually is an expert on iNav. Wave your hand. Peppermint, I think you are. I'm going to turn my fire back on while I wait for that. There'll be a shortage of 2.4 gigs, our transmitters will stop working. My fire made a really weird sound there. I've got one big frustration with iNav, is they really don't show you an easy list of what boards are available and working. Cool power, where are you? One complaint I've got with iNav is this. Is that their list of boards that work, they have their preferred suppliers. So if we go to iNav, supported hardware. So if we put this up, right? Oh. So we have their supported hardware, supported boards, 16th of November, 2021. So these are the tested boards, which is a very small number. And then you've got where's the other list of... So you got... That says find more, but there really isn't more there. They don't make it easy to show what all of the targets are that are available. So they show this, which says what, recommended boards, which is a very small number. And then you got here, which says currently here. And if you're building a flight controllers, airplane mods, radios, you can get more suggestions by following this link. So what's this take us to? That just goes round in circles. But there's no, I've not been able to find an extensive list. Now let's download the latest configurator, shall we? iNavCon. It's been a while since I've updated mine, so let me pull down the latest configurator. Configurator is intended only for use with iNav 4.1 families. That'll be fine. That's fine. We'll go with 4.1. Just boot up the GUI. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now. But it's just a frustration when you... So what we're Win64. It's just a frustration when you're trying to find... Crispy, the control line version of iNav sends it round and round and round. I do find it frustrating with iNav of what boards are supported. Extract into downloads. Autopilot, I was tempted at. So we go to downloads, iNav configurator, iNav configurator. Okay, so we're in. So if we go into firmware flasher, So we can now choose our boards. Now, as you can see, look, there's so many more under here than the website shows, but you've got to do it in the configurator. And I just think it just seems a bit nuts. So what I want to know is, let me just check what I'm going to be taking out of this aircraft. And I think it's a hobby wing. 1 second. Yes, it is. It is the hobby wing. I need to check which one it is, actually. Hobby wing stack. Just need to check which one it is exactly. I think it's this. Is it that? No, it's not. Is it this one? Nope. Ah, it's that one. I recognize it. Yep, it's definitely that one because it has the snap-offs. So it's the X-Rotor F7. Okay, so we have the X-Rotor F7. So, hobby wing. Does this support? So do they not support hobby wing then? Not looking at it. So that is going to cause me problems. Already. Evening, David. How are you? Never found a board that isn't supported by iNav. I may have just found one, Rob. Ian's foggy. I'm just looking. So, X-Rotor. Because in beta flight, what do they call it in beta flight? It should, if I open up the beta flight configurator. Yes. I run an older version. Right. Hobby Wing X-Rotor. There we go. So they've got the Hobby Wing X-Rotor listed there. Now, I'm sure when I went on the Hobby Wing website, please go to get FPV for my motors. They're in the US. How? Unfortunately, so if we go to Hobby Wing, and we'll go to hobbywing.com, and let's have a look. I'm all right, mate. I'm still ill. I'm getting iller by the week. Okay, so aircraft, drone systems. Oh, drone systems, FPV racing. We'll hop over to this. So this is the F7 here. So do they say what this supports? It's got a dual back. Onboard pit switch. I'm assuming it's got a barrow. I haven't checked that yet. Specification. Just trying to see if there is actually a barrow. OSD, voltage monitoring, external control. I'm expecting the HMRC bill next week. Yeah, that's always the fun. Let me just kick my fire. Fire's not sounding too good. Details. Is there a barrow on this? Could be why it's not supported in iNav. Not very good specification on their website. There neither is there. Sport. Give me the manuals. Holds his feet to the flames. Yes, an electric one. Okay, let's have a look. Is there actually a barrow on this? I'm not actually sure. There may not be. Yes, it's supported by iNav. Where have you found support for that in iNav? Where have you found it? The question is, does it have a barrow? Yeah, I think I can see one there. Barrow. It's very bad at their specification on their website. That's really poor, isn't it? Look at that. Beta flight, clean flight supported. So you're saying it is supported in iNav. So here's a question. Where do I get support for it in iNav then? I'm going to have to plug it in and see if it's got Barrow, ain't I? It does have one, I think. Let's have a look before we finish this up. You can use the beta flight target to define the... I'm not... Yeah, that's... Let me just find my cable. My cable's missing. 1 second. There it is. I keep them all under the desk. I keep them all under the... Hobbying website says it's supported. I keep them all under the desk because that way then I can find them quickly. Right, so let's just plug that in. Let's just go to beta flight a minute. And just see. Connect. Yes, there's a Barrow. Look at that, showing it. So if we go under... that's pretty good. Yeah, we got Barrow. That's not too bad. Okay. So we know we're okay on that side of things. If we go and enable that mode, go into sensors. Yeah, we got an altitude reading. Which one's altitude? That one there. So if I do wee, yeah, cool. That's fine. Yeah, it is. You can never get it, Ryan. Can you? You can never find it in stock. It's a good one. So, okay. So we got a Barrow. We're okay on that. But what I can't find on iNav is if it's supported. And this is the thing. So they're saying it's supported by iNav as well, are they? So, iNav. Are they going here? So, if we go on iNav configurator. He's trying to connect at the moment. Go away. Fear we flash it. So, looking down, it's not under X rotor, is it? I'm not seeing... It's a very common flight controller, so I would have expected there to be support for it. So, if we hop over to here, so let's just go... I'm just looking down to see if it's showing at all. I'm just struggling to see anything. But this is the frustration I have with iNav, that it at times is really annoying to find anything. So if we go back on the desktop, I've searched under X rotor and there's nothing coming up. Let's go under X rotor. Pull request discussions. We got the wiki, but don't know if it's listed. It won't be listed under issues. But yeah, so this is the one bit I always struggle with iNav is finding support. It's just finding support for what supported boards. You know, it says more support here. You go down here and you go find any open source GitHub tracker down here, configurator issues. If you're building a plane, follow this. So you've got all the boards, the recommended hardware here. You can get more suggestions by following this link, look. And that takes you right back to the same place. Crazy. At times I'm at a loss. At times I am at a loss with iNav supported boards. I just find it very, very difficult to find boards that work. And it just seems overly complicated. Overly complicated. And you end up having to mess around and choose boards that you don't want to choose. You know, this is a very common stack. But there just doesn't seem to be anything. And these are seeing. I'm just trying to see if anyone has posted anything. What I should do is let me go on Discord, go on iNav. Go on Discord, go on iNav, and then say, is this board supported? I'm not even on the iNav Discord server. Am I on there? I don't know. See, this is the frustration. Drives me bonkers. It should not be this hard. Pavel, sort it out. Come on. We need wide support for hardware, not just what the devs want. You want people to transition between two different systems? Give me the options. Okay, guys, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat, because before we do, I'm going to have one last thing I'm going to talk about. And that last thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to turn my heater off again because it's making a horrible noise. Don't sound good at all, that. Is power output tests and HDZero and digital, actually, because there's been a lot of testing going on in the last couple of weeks and months. Many people, myself, I think Ryan's been doing some, who's in the chat here, Wes, the iNav devs, and we've all been using the Immersion RC power meter, and we're all getting some strange results. And I've talked about this before. There has been this week the release, obviously, of the 1 watt VTX from HDZero, and you're starting to get people putting their power meter on it and seeing some strange stuff. Now, more than anything, this is just a bit of a warning or a heads up going, don't necessarily think what you're seeing on the Immersion RC power meter is either accurate or correct. I'm not saying the Immersion power RC power meter is a bad product. I've actually reached out to Tony Cake to try and understand what we're seeing, because what we're seeing doesn't make sense. And the reality is that device was designed to measure analog, not digital. But you are seeing people posting things saying, look, it's only doing this here or this there. So do be aware of what you might see is not 100% correct. Now, the reason I'm saying this is there was a post on Facebook. Let me just find it. Now, these were Wes's tests. Wes posted these tests on his review, but it isn't 100% correct in the sense of the testing methodology we've all been working on, and what we're seeing in some ways doesn't make sense as well. So let me just find this post, because there was a post put up that people have said, oh, you know, much, much lower power on certain channels. And yes, the power output is dropping on certain channels. Carl has always said on the HDZero VTX the power does drop. Let me just find it. Why Facebook hides things every time you try to find it. Does my nutting me just find it. I've commented on it. So, right, found it. Okay, so what I'll show you is this. So someone's taken some screenshots from Wes's video, which was his initial review on pre-release hardware with testing that we haven't fully validated. I'm not saying Wes has done anything wrong, because he hasn't. He's a fantastic guy. But the person's posted up, just a heads up for freestyle users, the optimal performance is on channel 1. Now, that is correct in itself as we understand things. But don't lose too much sleep over the numbers you're seeing here. Now, for instance, on Wes's images, they've posted 1 watt on channel 1, 5650. We've got on, what channel is it? 57, 550 showing 573, 578, and then even as low as 328 on channel 8. Now, this up front makes people think, oh my God, I've got to use it on this channel. Right. These numbers are not 100% accurate. There is some behavior which we are seeing on the Immersion RC power meter as you move up the band, which shows some strange results. Further to that, some people are even seeing strange results with testing that they wouldn't expect to get. Now, I've been doing a lot of testing for my review of the 1 watt coming up. Let me just find the image. And I've pre-tested all of my existing VTXs. And I just want to show you this because it's important you understand everything in context. So for instance, we have here the 4 VTXs that I have already tested. The thing you should take from this is not necessarily that these individual numbers are correct, but more their individual behavior between each other. So, for instance, if we look at the Race 1 and Race 2 VTX, I'm seeing on boot, when the VTX first powers up, on channel 1, 191 watts, and down to 160 watts after 1 minute. On the Race V2, we're seeing 235, and then down to 180. Now, these numbers I'm really happy with. These are, for the most part, where you would expect the VTX to be. The real interesting behavior, though, is what happens when you measure channel 8, and that is what you're seeing here. We're seeing a substantial reduction in output. Now, this could actually be correct on this side, but I wouldn't have expected it to drop that low. However, this is substantially below where I would expect it to be. Interesting, the 200 milliwatt Whoop VTX outperforms both of these, and in some ways I think that's probably to be expected because it's not actually, I don't think it's certified calibrated, that one, so it is possible it's managing to push a bit more, and it's going to be different on every board as well. Everyone's going to behave slightly differently. But what's really interesting is as we move up the power band, we're seeing much lower results than we would expect, because on the 500 milliwatt dual board we're only seeing 360 and 246. Now that is half of what we would have expected to see from that VTX. And even then, look at it on channel 8. It's down to 135 watts. Now, this isn't 100% correct. We know something is going on here. We don't know what, but we know something is going on. From my tests, I'm comfortable on the 200 watt ones. What I'm seeing is roughly right. The real issue is anything above about 300-400 watts gets a bit strange. Now, I have been sent a video which I'm allowed to share with you, which I'm going to share with you now. Let me just get it in place. I don't want to put the message up, but I am just going to share with you a video that was shared with me. And this is actually the guys over at HDZero testing it themselves against what we're seeing on the RF power meter. And they're checking it against their spectrum analyzer, which is actually capable of measuring proper RF output. Now, what makes me laugh in this video, right, is because, and my head is right in the way, so let me just move here. I'm going to move over to here a minute so you guys can see, because my head is, oh, my microphone keeps moving. Where it? I'm going to have to move this to the side. There we go. Woo-hoo. Okay. That'll do. Close enough. Close enough. And what makes me laugh in this, I literally have a fan set up like this for these VTXs. I literally have the same thing. That one looks like it's mains. Well, it might be 12 volts. I've got one myself doing exactly the same job. But what we have here is the 1 watt VTX, the RF power meter, measuring it. Now, if I just hit play, you can see that. Let me just wait for it. You can see it's measuring. We're going on channel 1, and they've gone to channel 4, and it's measuring 457 milliwatts, substantially less than we would have expected. So what the guys do is swap it over and pop it on. I'm just going to jump ahead because you don't need to see all of the messing around, because the fan falls over for the poor bugger while he's doing his testing. It happens to me exactly the same. And then they've got it here on their unit, and he's going to jump up again, put it onto 4, which is the power mode. Sorry, not channel 4. Sorry, I've said that wrong. Power mode 4. I missed that the first time, so let me do that again. So the first thing they do is put it on to power mode 4. Notice it said P before he pressed it. Sorry, that was my bad. P4, full power. 457 milliwatts. Jumping ahead, once he's got it on the scope, he's going to do the same again. Pop it onto P4. I'm used to seeing only P1 and 2. P4. And you can see on their spectrum analysis reading, they're seeing 30 dBm of channel power, which is correct. That is exactly what we would be expecting to see from this output. So it is clear what the immersion RC power meter is reading isn't adding up. You know, if we look at the dBms, so we're getting on channel 1, he's going to put it onto 4. Let's get this right. On 4, he's seeing 26 dBm. Okay. And then channel 4 on the proper unit, we're getting 30 dBm. So there is a substantial difference in what's being read. Now, the point I'm making here is this. We all have these lovely pieces of handy little test equipment, which, let me just get the chat back up. So it's really handy to have these pieces of equipment. You know, we're talking 450 milliwatts up to, it should be 1 watt, which we're seeing at 30 dBm, which is correct. It's very nice that we have these pieces of test equipment, but you should not take this as fact. And that's the thing I wanted to make on this. Good evening, Gary. It is really interesting to see these tests, but right now, from a hobby tool, from a digital FPV standpoint, we just don't have the data to prove it's 100% right. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I did reach out to Tony Cake, who was really fast to reply, actually. Tony replied to me and said he's going to look into it. He's looking into it himself and going to do some tests. You don't know. We might get new firmware for this. I don't know. It would be really handy, like really handy, to be able to measure digital on this unit. Right now, we can't. Not reliably. You should not take the readings you're getting as reliable. It's that simple. You know, that spectrum analyzer is able to show channel power, and they're getting their 30 dBm as expected. So we're going to have to wait and see how things go on and how we all sort of understand how this channel output power changes, because there are a number of us who've been doing these tests. We've all been seeing different behavior and stuff like that. So I just wanted to make, yeah, with the Vista, it doesn't work properly. It really doesn't like reading DJI at all, and I don't fully understand what's going on. I spent yesterday doing a lot of tests. I spent yesterday doing a lot of tests, and the Vista just is all over the place. So it's certainly not good. Joe has said his video yesterday. Let's find Joe's video before we wrap this one up. Joe YouTube? Joe Mama? Let's find Joe's video yesterday. I hadn't seen it yet. Joe Mama. I better just search for HDZero freestyle. That's probably the best way of finding it. Where is it? Where's Joe's video? And then change the filters to this week. It's hiding it from me now. Perhaps Joe's was under 1 watt, was it? Where is it, Joe? I've lost it now. Aha. Was it this one? Is this the 1 watt, Joe? Oh, yes, you did say, sorry. So this is the 1 watt. And he's on channel 8 as well, which won't be the most output. Do you see that when it moves my head around? Look. Let me, you did a follow-up on R1. Cool. Let's go full screen. Shall we? I love it. It just buffers all of the time. Pull out, pull out. He's got it back. 10 to 15 houses. If he counts his range in houses. Oh, he's a brave man. People go nuts. I do this over here. Yeah, it bails out. We can see you where he pulled out. It's looking fairly good. Yeah, not really seen anything. Yeah, nothing shocking there at all. So is this DJI now? Did it switch to DJI then? Yeah, this must be DJI. Yeah, 50 megabits a second. Why are you on 50, Joe? Try on 25. Just complete. Looks best at 50, mate. Let's have a look. Latency spiked. Yeah, you can see the delay all over the place. And look, these numbers are a calculated number. We should add as well. Does look nice though, doesn't it? Can't help that with DJI. It does look nice. Latency and drop frames, so I keep slowing way down. Yeah. Yeah, and this is where DJI can't push on through. You know, it to a point. To a point. Yeah. And that's not flyable. That's not flyable. Yeah, you know, DJI has the ability to try and sort of keep getting data in. It'll just keep pushing it and trying to push it forward. But when it goes, you know. It's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. We're going to see a lot of this. You know, we're going to see a lot of comparisons. Analog for the win. Fell back to 25. Yeah. Yeah, I have no things. I have the same spectrum analyzer. Me and RC Shim both have the same spectrum analyzer. I've done that myself. The same ones. Surprisingly, the test informed the same. No, only period come through. I start upgrading my 6S quad. Turning off autoplay option anymore. Bloody YouTube is on and it's turn off autoplay option anymore. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Yeah. That is interesting. It's going. You're going to see comparison. Okay, people get upset on comparison. Comparison's going to happen. You can't worry about comparison. Comparison is one. They are two inherently different systems. One prioritizes latency. One prioritizes image quality. That is a reality. That there's no changing that. What we're trying to do is find the balance for FPV users. They both have their benefits. They both have their downsides. Both companies have their benefits. Both companies have their downsides. No one's evil. No one's nasty. Not one system is better than another's. For everything, it will be simply down to what system best suits you. If you're just flying out in a field and you don't care about latency, then DJI may be better for you. If you really want to fly close to buildings and close to stuff where that latency could be the difference with you bouncing off a wall, then HDZero is going to be for you. There is no one perfect solution in the market. It's that simple. You know, there's a lot of hoo-ha at times between the communities. And look, DJI is not evil. DJI are a large corporate entity, and they are as evil as Apple in that sense. Is probably the Apple term is a really good one to use for DJI. Okay, they're as evil as Apple are. They want to make money, they want to make good product, and as a result of that, they want to charge you for making good product. They want to control their ecosystem, and they want to control to a point how far within the boundaries of the garden of that ecosystem you're allowed to walk around. Now, you can argue all day long if you prefer Android or iOS. Look, I am a complete tech head. I have been hacking game consoles from the day it started. I used to fit mod chips in PlayStations. I used to rebuild radios. But I use Apple phones. And the reason I use Apple phones is because I don't need to go into the OS subsystem to do something. I use iPhones because the bloody thing works when I pick it up every single time. And I'm willing to pay extortionate amounts of money for that iPhone, which I have this year. You know, I bought the iPhone 13 Pro Max because I wanted the best one in that ecosystem. But I like that ecosystem because it suits me. So at the end of the day, it's the best product that suits you. And you can argue in some ways, you know, DJI is Apple and HDZero is Samsung. They're both very, you know, I'm not going to say HDZero is a large corporate entity, but it is a corporate entity nonetheless. There is no guarantees today that HDZero are going to continue to listen to their customers tomorrow. Carl is a very good guy, but it doesn't mean he's going to be there forever. It doesn't mean he's going to be there. So no company is really evil. It's just people's perception of that. Just weeks when you pick it up. Yeah, I hate Android phones. I cannot get on. I have not had a single Android phone I would own to this day because I just don't like them. They just don't do what I need them to do. Open source. But I don't need open source on my phone because there's never been anything I have wanted to do on my phone that required open source. And I've still not had anyone really show me a use case for anything that couldn't be done one way or another on an iPhone. What I love about the iPhone is it integrates with my existing ecosystem. It is as secure as it gets for the most part. And it does what I need it to do very, very well because of that nice tight integration between hardware and software. And that's what DJI does. I use Android. I have to use Android because I have to use Android for other things. I have things in my life that I have Android phones on. I own an Android phone. I have to because it is the policy of that I do that makes me use an Android phone. They won't give me an iPhone. If they would, I'd be happy. But it's a heap of junk. And they always have been, you know. Because use booters are locked. Yeah, but I don't need to use DigiView on an iPhone. I get it. Okay, if you wanted to, I guess there's a limitation. Healing's Android. Yeah, but that's look, Android has allowed a lot of things to go forward, which is good. But personally, the point I'm making with this is this. DJI is not evil. DJI is just making a product, you know, and the benefits of that product DJI do, like Apple, is a tightly integrated system, which works very well out of the box, that does what 90% of people need it to do. Now, HDZero is a bit the other way at the moment. You know, out the box isn't as polished. There's a bit of faff in here and there a little bit, much less than there ever was. I'll be honest, it's so close now, it's ridiculous. But the DJI package is very, very polished and it's turnkey and it is good to see that, you know. Dumb phone user. He's on a Nokia 3310. So that's, you know, that's the reality of the situation. It is pick the system that best suits your needs. Don't worry about the politics. That's the reality of it. For some people, HDZero will be better. For some people, DJI will be better. You know, I am reluctant to say I believe either of them should become the de facto standard simply because they are both private entities. They are not open source. If you're going to ask me what I would prefer to happen, it would be OpenHD becomes amazing and we all end up that way simply because it's open source. Fully. But that doesn't mean there always needs to be open source. And for everyone, analog will always be best. Come on, Bruce, we need analog HD. We need analog HD. We really do. DJI is evil. They have defense contracts. Look, if you're going to go down that road, I'm sure you can find a million companies in the US that have contracts with the government who've done very bad things. Let's not pretend the US, the UK, and anyone else is perfect because we're not. You know, DJI have contacts in China. Yes. Does that make them evil because the Chinese government do some nasty stuff? No, not really. That's just a reality of the world. You know, HDI, the merger of good and evil, HDI. You know, look, if you're going to go down the road of what we've done good or bad, we've done many bad things. And okay, look, if you take what's going on in the world today, there's some really bad stuff going on. But that doesn't make the people of that country bad. That's just one person in control. And you could argue the same as in China. I have had the privilege of dealing with a lot of people at DJI and a lot of people at many other companies. And I can honestly and openly say people have never been more than happy to help and try and do something. evil is a very dangerous word to use when dealing with companies. You can easily label it to individuals, and you could even argue there might be one individual who ticks that box on the planet right now. However, you can't call companies evil. You know, because if we go back far enough, how many companies have done things that have killed people? Boeing. Ford with their fuel tanks of the day. Look, many big companies have done inherently very bad things. Does that make every person who worked there evil, or is it just at times human nature and culture is such a thing that can cause bad things to happen? Sharks, I'd love freaking sharks with lasers on their heads. Sharks with lasers. You know, yeah, that's probably going to happen. I've been flying that for the last day. No geofencing on this, ladies and gentlemen. I would be shocked if it hasn't already. For evil to triumph, only good men have to do nothing. Sharks with freaking lasers on their heads. I love that film. That was a great film. Right, guys. A couple of minutes before we answer any last questions. So, anything anyone wants to ask before we wrap this one up. As always, it's been a pleasure spending some time with you. As I said, please accept my apologies for my poor health. It is still not BMW, Benz. Yeah, they've all done bad things in the war. We've all had, you know, like, you have to take things into context. I have a drone with a laser. Pilots fear it. This week, there will be the review of the soldering station coming up. The big one, the Accent. That's a really good product, guys. Really good product. I'm going to be trying to get the review finished on the Autel. Yeah, we can. But, you know, look, I have zero issues with DJI, and I have a fairly solid moral compass. Anyone who says they are morally above everything, question that. Do you know what I mean? HDZero and the Skyzones versus the Scouts. Does the OLED really make a night and day difference? No. The Scout looks very, very good with HDZero. I haven't flown enough with the OLEDs. The weather's been wrong. I've spent quite a bit of time on HDZero in summer with the Scouts, which I haven't done with the OLEDs yet. So I'll need a bit of time to tell you on that one. GMI. It's not night and day today. The Sky, she's doing a really good job. Any ruler updates? Loving my ruler. Oh, congratulations. The first batch has gone out. I've got a couple more that have been asked for from the Patreons, and then I will have a small batch available to go out to the general public. The plan is to get on top of that this week. And what about the point we had missed on last Sunday? What point we missed last Sunday? I've forgotten. I've been ill since. Come on, you're going to have to remind me. I am ill. I have had my third vaccine today as well, so I am beginning to slip over the end. I have heard of this, but I haven't tried it, this radio system. They haven't sent me one. I have heard of it. The SYI HM30. Yeah, I know Nicola's trying it at the moment. That's why I'm having a beer, just to try and keep me going. Just for fun, Google which tower fight is paid at the most expensive criminal fines. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Ah. Okay, I'm going to have to do that for next week. We will roll it 1 week forward. Right, guys. I'm going to have to go because I'm dropping. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. Thank you for joining me everyone. I really do appreciate it. If you're new here, please do consider hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell next to it as well. There'll be a video middle of the week. Stay safe, and I will speak to you guys again soon. 1, 2, 3. Last button.